So today with inequalities, you're not going to see just equal signs. You're going to see one of these guys, one of these. These mean one of 4 different things or 5 different things. If the mouth, wherever the mouth is open, the mouth always eats the bigger number, right? So greater than, less than, greater than or equal to. So it could be bigger or the same, right? That's what those mean. Less than or equal to, less than or the same. And then just straight up not equal to. Okay? So remember, the mouth opens to the bigger thing, right? So whatever's bigger, that's what the mouth opens to. So those are the 4 symbols we're going to see today. Okay, so the difference between, there's a couple differences between what we've been doing and what we're going to do today. A lot of it's the same. When we do these, you're going to be like, oh, I've done that before. You have. You did it on 1 and 2. Practice 1 and practice 2. One of the big changes, though, is something called the golden rule. What does the golden rule say? The golden rule says this. If you multiply or divide both sides of the blue line by a negative number, you must flip the symbol. Flip the symbol. If you multiply or divide both sides by a negative, you must flip the symbol. So the mouth is going to be facing the other way. We only do that when we multiply or divide both sides by a negative. We haven't had to do that before, but today we might. Okay? And then the steps, right? I put the steps up here. These are both the 5 steps that go down here. First step, isolate the variable. Get x by itself, get y by itself, whatever we're trying to do. Make sure the variable, the letter, is on the left. Make sure it's on the left side. So these are them right there. I'm just writing word for word what's up there so you can write it up there. Okay. Did you multiply? So it has a question mark. Multiply or divide by a negative? So did you multiply or divide by a negative? If you did, make sure you flip the symbol. If not, you don't need to worry about step 3. Step 4, open dot or close dot. I'll talk about what that means when we do one problem. That's a decision you have to make. Is it open or closed? And then the last one is shade in the correct direction. Shade in the correct direction, either right or left. Only 2 options today. Shade right, shade left. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at example number 1. So open it up. Okay. These don't have equal signs. Doesn't matter. You're still going to draw the line down here. Okay. Isolate the variable. We want to get x by itself. I have an x over here, and I have an x over here. I want to get them on the same side. Now, today, I want you to get them on the left side. And I'll tell you why later, because it's going to make your life easier later. So I'm going to leave this negative 3x here, and I'm going to move this guy over. So to do that, I need to do the opposite. Since it's 1x, I'm going to subtract 1x from both sides. Okay. So negative 4x, or the x, is on the left. So now I have to get everything else on the right. 5 is positive, so I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. So negative 4x less than or equal to positive 8. Last step, get x by itself. So to do that, I need to divide. What am I going to divide by? Whatever is in front of the x. So what's in front of the x? Negative 4. So I need to divide by negative. Some of you yesterday were just dividing by regular 4. You got to divide by everything, whatever is in front. So if it's a negative, divide by a negative. Okay, so negative 4 goes into 8. Negative 2 times. Oops. But golden rule says if you divide by a negative, you got to flip the symbol. So since I divided by negative 4, the symbol has to flip the other way. So now the mouth has to be open in the other direction. Last year, I gave the same quiz to the students who are in Math 3, and that was one of the biggest mistakes I saw. They got everything right, but they didn't flip the mouth open. They kept the mouth open that way. So out of 4 points, they would get 3 points because they got the answer wrong, so they didn't get that point. But they did every step right. They just forgot one step. That's a 3 out of 4. If you want 4 out of 4, full credit, make sure you do that. Okay, so that's step 1, 2, and 3. Now let's go to step 4. Step 4 is on the number line. So the number here that we get is going to go front and center. Negative 2. So to the right is negative 1, 0, positive 1, then negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. So step 4 says at negative 2, I have 2 options. I can do an open dot or a closed dot. Some of you probably know the answer, but I'm going to tell you the answer if you don't. When do we use an open circle or an open dot? When we use these symbols. When we use one of these symbols, one of those 3 symbols, that's when we use an open circle. When do we use a closed symbol? When we use one of these symbols. Okay? That's when we decide, do we use a closed or an open? This one's going to be closed, yeah, because it's that one right there. So at negative 2, I'm going to make a closed circle or a closed dot. That's step 4. Last step, which way do I shade, to the right or to the left? Here we go. This is how you decide. X represents a number, right? We just don't know what number it is. So that number they call X Is it bigger than -2 or is it smaller than -2? That's a greater than symbol, right? Doesn't the mouth eat the bigger number? So that number is bigger than -2. So which way are the numbers bigger than -2? To the right. So we shade to the right. Done. Okay. X is the numbers, the number. We don't know what number it is, but that number is bigger than -2. Bigger than or equal to. So it could be -2. That's why I use a closed dot. Or bigger. Here's my question. How many answers did I get? Kind of a trick question. How many answers did I get for this one? Like the lot, remember yesterday we got 2 answers, 2 boxes. How many answers did we get today? Kind of a trick question. So if you think you know the answer, I might be tricking you.
I think it's more than just one because it could be either the same or it could be more.
Exactly. Most people would say one answer. That's it right there. That's it right there. It's actually not. The answers are everything we shaded. How many numbers did I shade? Yeah, some people say, oh, -2 you shaded, -1 you shaded, 0 you shaded, 1 you shaded. But then look, I shaded the arrow. What does that mean? Every number that keeps going. Every number that keeps going. And on top of that, aren't there numbers in between 0 and 1, -1 and 0? So there are an infinite number of answers. That's why we don't have to list them all. This is what I might ask you though. I might say, hey, is +1 an answer to this problem? It is. How do I know? It's shaded, isn't it? I might say, is -2 an answer to this problem? It's shaded. I might say, is +100 an answer to this problem? Some people will say, no, because it's not on there. Yeah, it is. It's way down here. Right? Things like that. Things like that. I might ask you that. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's try number 2. Number 2. So I'm going to draw my line, just like I always do. Doesn't matter if it's an equal or something else. I want to get X on one side. I want that to be the left side. Okay. So that means X isn't already on the left side. It's already there, right? So I'm going to leave it there. So that means -61, I got to move. +61. And the -55 plus 61 is 6. Divide by 6, right? Divide by everything is in front of X. Do I have to flip the symbol for this one? No, because I didn't divide by a negative. 6 is positive. Done. So let me draw my graph now. Now, when you're drawing your own graph, you don't have to number it like I did the last one. The reason I numbered it that way is because they gave me a graph. But if I draw my own graph, this is what I need to see. First thing I need to see is the number, which is 1. Where is 0? To the left or to the right? Just to the left, right? What? Give me one number that's bigger than 1. 2. That works. That's it. Open dot or closed? Closed again. Which way am I going to shade? So the right is bigger. So the right means bigger, the left means less. So X. Is X bigger than 1 or smaller than 1? Smaller than 1. So I'm going to shade to the left this time. this time to the left. Okay. So again, question, is -2 an answer to this problem? Is +6 an answer to this problem? No. Tomorrow on the practice, they'll ask you this. They'll say, okay, here's Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 3. Select which are answers. 2, -1, -6. And you have to determine, is 1 an answer? Is 2 an answer? Is 3 an answer? Or 2 of them? Or 3 of them? Well, let's see. +2, is that an answer? No, we just said no. Is -1 an answer? Is -6 an answer? So that means 2 and 3 work. Okay, it's kind of multiple choice without being multiple choice. Okay. Number 3. Try number 3 on your own. Give number 3 a shot. I'm sure you can do number 3 because it looks like something we did the other day. Start with that and then do it. Make sure the variable's on the left. I want B on the left, though. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you 1 second. What's up?
You said you want B on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
So do you always subtract, like, so if you want B on this side?
Mm-hmm. If it's positive, I subtract it. If it's negative, I add it.
So do you always do that first? Like,
Yeah, when we're doing these, that's the difference. Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure my here. Okay, so I got to get B's on one side. I got a B on the left and I got 9B on the right. Step 2 says make sure your variable is on the left. So that means I want to get the B's only on this side. So that means I got to get rid of this guy here. How do I do that? Subtraction. One minus 9 is -8. Bring down everything I haven't used. B's are on the left. There are no B's on the right anymore. Okay. 5, though. I got to subtract 5 from both sides. So -8B is less than -9. One more step to get B by itself. Divide by -8. Did I do step 3? Did I divide or multiply by a negative? I did. So I got to flip the symbol. So I got to remember that, hey, if I divide or multiply by a negative both sides, I got to flip the symbol. So now I'm going to flip the symbol this way. And then I have a negative divided by a negative, which makes a positive over a positive. Okay. 9/8. Can I reduce that fraction? No. 3 goes into 9 but doesn't go into 8. 2 goes into 8 but doesn't go into 9 evenly. 4 goes into 8 but not into 9 evenly, so I just leave it like that. Okay. So let me graph it. The number goes on the front and center, so 9/8 goes here. Even though it's a fraction, there's still a whole number that's bigger and a whole number that's smaller. So if you don't know it, just use a calculator. 9 divided by 8. 1.125. Which two whole numbers is that between? 1 and 2, right? 1 is smaller, 2 is bigger. So that's what I'm going to do on my number line. 1 and 2. Open dot or closed dot? Open. This one's going to be open because it doesn't have a line underneath, doesn't have an equals. Am I going to shade to the right or am I going to shade to the left? Again, so how do you know? B is the number, right? We don't know what number it is. Is that number bigger than the dot or is it smaller than the dot? The mouth is opening to B. That means it's bigger. So that means to the right. Is 2 an answer? Is -2 an answer? Is 9/8 an answer? No. It's not in the shade, right? It's part of the open part. Yeah, it's part of the open part. So no, 9/8 is not an answer for this one. Okay. All right, so one more, and then we're going to do one more practice problem, and then we'll be done for today. Okay, so, oops. Okay, so here we go. Number 4. This one, if I change that to an equal sign, you guys saw that in practice 1. That's what practice 0-1 was. Okay? Picture in your head, it says equals. Picture in your head, that blue line says equals. What would we do first? What did we do for practice 1? Distribute. That's exactly what we're going to do now. I'm going to distribute those two. Okay. Distribute means multiplication. So 3 times 2 is positive 6n. 3 times 8 is positive 24. Bring everything else down. After we distribute it, what was our next step? Not before we do that. Combine like terms on the same side, right? Combine like terms that are already on the same side. So we have those two on that side, these two on this side. Now we got to get n's on the left. I have negative 15n over here on the left already, but I also have a negative 10n over here. So I got to get this negative 10n over with its buddy. So I got to do the opposite. add 10n. $25n plus 24, negative 12. Okay, n's on the left. Subtract 24 from both sides. 25n is less than negative 36. Last step, divide by 25. Do I have to flip the symbol? No, not on this one because I'm dividing by 25. So I have negative 36 over 25. I can't reduce this because 25, see 5 goes into 25, but it doesn't go into 36. 5 is the only thing. So that I can't reduce it. Done. Gotta graph it now. So that guy's going to go front and center. Negative 36 over 25. What are the two whole numbers that go to the right and to the left? Well, if you don't know, use your calculator. It's going to give me a decimal. Negative 36 divided by 25. Negative 1.44. So what are the two numbers? What's the whole number that's less than that? Negative 1. What's the whole number that's on the other side? Negative 2. Negative 1 and negative 2. There you go. Oh, I forgot. Open or closed? Open. Shade, right or left? N is smaller, right? N is smaller than that fraction, so that means to the left. So I'm going to give you one more practice problem to do, and then we'll be done. But before that, I want to give you something. I had this question. This question was one of my past test questions or quiz questions. I took it off because I liked it, because I had a student who did this. This is the answer they put over here to the right. Should I give them credit? They did their work too, so it's not like they didn't do their work. But this was their final answer. That one was the final answer.
No,
Should I give them credit?
I give them 3 points.
So you think they made a mistake? Okay, does anyone disagree? Is that a mistake? Here's how I decide. So they had negative 36 over 25. That's okay. They had n. Is the mouth open to the same number? So it actually is correct. It's actually correct. It says the same thing. This one says a number is smaller than that fraction. So it's smaller than. This one says that fraction is bigger than the number. So essentially you're saying the same thing, it's just backwards. All right? It's essentially you're saying, so they're both okay. They're both okay. Now, I don't like this one personally, the second one, because people see this and they're like, oh, greater than. Let's graph to the right. Let's shade to the right. I see greater than. That's not what I did, right? That's where it throws you off. So that's why I say get your letters to the left, because it's a lot easier to shade. Because I'll have students do this and I'll give them full credit. But then when they go shade, they're like, oh, greater than. Okay, we're shade to the right. And then they lose credit there. Okay? So just be careful with that. They're both the same thing. They just say it opposite. Okay. All right, so one more question. One more question and we're done. I'm going to give you one to do in your notes. This will be example number 4. You're going to do this in page 7. And then I'll pass out the tape. So example 5, I think. Yes, example 5. So this one you're going to solve and graph. Okay, so those are z's, those things that look like 2's with a line in them. I draw my z's with a line in them because you can tell the difference between a 2 and a z. So -9 minus, and then in parentheses, 2z minus 7. Greater than -2z minus 6 minus 5z. Okay? So first thing you're going to do is draw the line. And go for it. I'll give you the answer. This is the answer. That's the answer.
If you only multiply by a negative on one side, do you still have to flip?
No.
No?
Good question. Great question. Yeah. So if I only multiply, do multiplication on one side, do I have to flip? No. Only when you multiply both sides. So over here, you're going to have to distribute, right? So you don't have to flip the symbol. Great question. Yeah. If you're stuck, I gave you the first step. Okay, so if you're still working, keep working, but I just want to kind of get started. So the first thing I did was distribute the -1. Combine like terms that are on the same sides of the blue. Then I stop there. So now I want to get z's on the left side. So on the right side, I have a z. So to move that guy, I got to do the opposite. -2 plus 5z now. Add 2 to both sides. (5z) is greater than -4. Z is greater than -4/5. Okay. So now, draw my number line. -4/5 is in the middle. When you divide it, it makes a -0.8. So that's going to be between 0 and -1. Okay. So is it open or closed at -4/5? Open. Good. It's going to be open. Which way do we shade? To the right or to the left? Where's the mouth? Greater than or less than? Greater. Greater. So it's going to be to the right. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're going to do some practice tomorrow. We'll do practice 3 tomorrow, which is going to be on this. Friday group quiz. Short group quiz. Will be very, very short, not long. 4 questions. Okay. So tomorrow, make sure you come in ready to do that. That'll prepare you for the quiz on Friday. Okay. Tape's coming. It's behind. It's in front of you. It's coming. So just tape it in. You're done.